Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are still here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
And your desire has expanded since we last visited?
Yes.
That means you're not dead. It's nice to be here in this leading edge environment, isn't it? So now what? Now what?
Thank you so much. Abraham, I love you so much. You've changed my life. Thank you.
We're just reminding you what you already know.
I know.
Reminding you. We are bringing you to an understanding. An understanding. Think about the word understanding. It means what is beneath where you are standing. It means the basis of who you are, the basis of what you know. So we're just reminding you of that.
Yes, of
and
course.
then life just shows it to you again and again. But we are appreciating your appreciation.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited about this question. I want to talk about the sexual liberation of men and women. And
Well, you're so free you can choose bondage. And really, we love you so much, but the thing that keeps you from being free is that you want to talk about it too much. Just hold your thoughts and let law of attraction bring to you that which is harmonic with what your thoughts are. But sometimes when you want to talk about it, it's like you're wanting to convince others. And that is what messes up your experience no matter what the topic. The need for others to understand it as you understand it, you see. And so we're not trying to shut you down here. We're just wanting to start at this very basic place, which is let life show you what you want, line up with it, and let law of attraction bring to you what you want, and let others be as bound up in sexuality or as anything as they choose to be. Don't let their uptightness bother you, and don't try to liberate those who do not want to be liberated.
the core of what I'm really wanting to get at is, when I say sexuality, I really mean the freedom, and it's getting back to what you just said, the freedom of not only being physically sexual, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There's this...
Well, what stops you? What could possibly be stopping you?
I'm not necessarily talking about for me, but I'm...
Since you're asking the question for the global community, what could possibly be stopping anyone from that? So far, they're not able to limit your thoughts. No one can limit your thoughts.
Right.
No one can limit your thoughts.
Yeah.
No one can limit your ability to imagine. No one can limit your ability to remember or to expect or to imagine. And so, what do you think you're getting at here?
What I'm getting at is, I guess I want, even myself, I want to be more free in my sexuality. You know, as a young man, there is this biological drive to have a lot of sex. And I enjoy that, and it's fun. But there's a certain degree of...
Stuff you make up, and stuff that you've heard from others, and stuff that is unnatural.
all of that, yeah.
So what we're talking about are limiting beliefs. And a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. And so how would you cease to continue it within your own experience? Stop focusing on the limitations and acknowledge the freedom that you do experience.
Is it good for me to want to enjoy that to the degree that I want to? And I'm not talking about just me, I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about, and that's what I mean by sexual liberation. I mean letting the beast out, you know what I'm saying?
So let's talk about your life here in your physical body amongst others.
Okay.
And let's acknowledge, because it's obvious that it's necessary to acknowledge this, that you are here among so many others, and that the co-creation between one another is what really causes the expansion of the universe, and is what the deliciousness of life is about. And then let's remember that you come in tremendous variety of intention, variety of perspective, variety of exposure to life. In other words, your cultures vary, your understandings vary, those to whom you were born vary. In other words, there is a magnificent diversity in this time-space reality. So let's just begin by acknowledging that. And then let's think of any one of you as an individual and what life brings you to an awareness of what you prefer. And let's remember, and this is the part that you are wisely wanting to interject into the conversation, let's remember who you are coming in. Let's remember the free being who you really are, the being who, in alignment with Source, does feel free and has no guilt and does feel worthy and expects good things. And so let's talk about, when you watch the beasts of your planet, as you watch the birds fly in perfect formation, you understand that there is a broader perspective that they are all responding to. And so let's call this sexuality that you feel, you're calling it a drive or a desire that cannot be stifled, no matter what rules are written and no matter what laws are put in place. It is something that is innate. It comes forth from within. It's one of those basic understandings. It's essential to who you are. It's essential to your survival. It's essential to your continuation. It's essential to your beingness. So we don't have to justify that sexual desire, that sexual drive. It's a wonderful thing, and it's part of that tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You wondered when you were going to catch on to that. Part of being here in your physicality. So we've acknowledged the broadness of who you are, and now we're talking about the individuality of who you are. And now let's talk about the co-creation aspect as you're interacting with others. So we've been encouraging all of you to become more aware of your selfishness, because you have the perspective of self, and you have to identify yourself as self, and you have to care about how self feels. So when a desire was within you and you allow that desire to be satisfied, that's harmony. That's coming into alignment with Source. That sexual experience, that orgasmic experience, that delicious experience that you are describing, that's connection with Source often, not always, but often. That's you tuned in, tapped in. It's you expressing the fullness of yourself here in this physical experience. But also it is important, and this is a conversation to have no matter what the topic of conversation is, no matter what the subject of conversation is. What's the difference, or how do you put into perspective your own selfish nature and your consideration of others? Consideration of others is a really important thing, because while you have the ability to be or do or have anything, and the time-space reality can give it to you, and law of attraction and your vortex, and most of all your inner being, knows where the compatible components are for you. So rather than wanting everyone to have the same desire or the same beliefs about something, which is, by the way, what most people talk about when they're using the word liberation. They don't mean liberate everyone to their own intentions. They usually mean liberate everyone to an intention that agrees with the intention that I have. In other words, I'd like to liberate all of you to agree with me. Is what most people mean when they're talking about liberation. But let's talk about freedom in conjunction with compatibility. Let's talk about freedom in conjunction with compatibility and consideration. Consideration for the masses of people who may or may not believe or desire as you do. And so sometimes people are wanting, they will send notes to Jerry and Esther, wanting them to do something about joining some peace movement. And Esther is saying, Abraham, what do you think about that? And we say, we think people should be free to choose war if they choose it. And yet that twists your brain into a little knot, because most of you are saying, no, everyone should want peace. And we say, you don't get to decide for everybody else what they want. You have to be considerate of the intentions of others. But it's not easy, is it, to be considerate of the intentions of others if you are in strong disagreement to their desires. And so it's interesting that we are coupling something that nobody thinks they want, which is war, with something that everybody thinks they want, which is sex. And we're having the same conversation about it, in that you must decide for yourself and be considerate enough to allow others to choose what they choose. And most important, to trust law of attraction, to put those of you who match with those of you who match. Now, this is where our conversation becomes important. This is where deliberate creation becomes important to the conversation. Because if you know what you want, and if you are in alignment with what you want consistently, so that you are projecting what you want, since you are broadcasting what you want, since your point of attraction is about what you want, then only those who are vibrational match to what you want would come to you. And there would be a harmonic sexuality, or whatever the topic is, that would be beyond anything that you've ever experienced before. But if you've got this little edge going on where you are wanting to control what they want, or you're wanting to teach them what you want, or you're wanting them to change what they want, if you could just let them want what they want and trust that you have been born into a time-space reality that is broad enough and vast enough that there are enough compatible components for you and what you want, no matter what the topic is, so that you cease all need to control, or even to convey, or even to convince. You just exude your vibration and trust that law of attraction brings to you that which is a match, and everyone lives happily ever after. There are those who seek monogamy with their sexual partners. There are those who don't seek monogamy with their sexual partners. But you know, the most interesting thing, those who are demanding and wanting and crying out for monogamy are those that are pushing the hardest against the opposite. And then they wonder why they don't find a partner that matches what they want, because what's active in their vibration is not what they are wanting. Most are offering the opposite of what they really desire in their guardedness, or in their seeking to control, or in their pushing against what they do not want. So if ever there was a topic, well, really, that's not right, because all topics are the same. All topics. But if ever there was a topic, well, really, that's not right, because all topics are the same. But if there were ever a topic that you would do well to just live and let live, that's the topic. But that was what we talked about all day yesterday, wasn't it? In all the time that we spent together, it's about finding your vibration and owning it, which means owning it consistently, exuding it, and then trusting that law of attraction will bring to you what is a vibrational match to what you are offering. So do you think in any way that the conversation that we're having here is as much about your ability to manage your own vibrational output as it is to wonder about or worry about anyone else's response to what you're putting out?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's all an inside game. And when,
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And once you get that, you ultimately, once you have that trust of the law of attraction and your intention and the universe bringing back to you, you won't need to worry about this person being in or out of alignment with what you want, because you'll attract that naturally.
And how do you hone what you want? Only through experience, and the same with others. We love the conversation about sexuality because it is the subject where most people have had the experience of pure alignment. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's the closest thing, because it's a time that is often void of thought. It's a time that's often spurred by instinct or intuition or connection to source energy. And when it's a co-creative dance, it is a wonderful experience. Many years ago, Jerry was teaching a business course on creating your own reality, although he was calling it Turning Thoughts to Things. And he was using the Think and Grow Rich book that was written by Napoleon Hill. And there was a section in the book called Sexual Transmutation. And Jerry always skipped that chapter with the group because he didn't want to stir anything up. And he didn't want to offend those who were sensitive about the topic. And years later, he was teaching it before he was interacting with us. And years later, we were discussing it with him. And we said, that's the most important chapter, because it's the chapter where people know how to let themselves go. It's the chapter how they can allow their broader intentions